Hi everyone, and welcome back to IAMT's podcast with me, Matt Stagg, talking about the rebrand, what it means to customers, what members, and how we take this amazing organisation forward. Well, what a power panel we've got with us today. So we have Josh Arensberg, a Global MD for Sport Media and Entertainment for Verizon. As you already know, and has been on this show, Saleha Williams, the CEO of IAMT. And we've got Andreas Hilmer, the Chief Marketing Officer for Lawo. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
It's going to be a good one. So I thought it might be a good way of starting. We've already discussed with Saleha, so they would have seen and they know. It just might be good to start with Andreas and then move to Josh. And just explain, what it means for you and your company and how the organization really can help serve you. And obviously you're the ex-chair and we've got the current chair. So we're in Josh. So this is going to be good. So over to you.
Yeah, so Lawo obviously is one of the vendors in this media and broadcast space. And we will come back to broadcast later on when we are discussing basically the journey this organization is on. So we're providing infrastructure solutions, software-based video and audio processing on a converged platform. And our customer field has changed over the years from pure broadcasters into a lot of other verticals, including Pro AV applications. And that is also one of the drivers behind of what we're facing in general with MediaTech. And I think we will be discussing how this influenced the reasons for the change that we are facing here.
Brilliant. And Josh?
Oh my gosh, it is so great to be here having this conversation, especially during the NAB conference here in Vegas. This is a conversation that, at least for Verizon, is so important because we're all in the same communication services sector, right? We are all about connecting, and connecting is exactly what's happening, not just with IAMT, but it's happening with the entire industry, right? As they look to IP, they look to new forms of delivery. It's not the same old, and all of this is changing as we have this move to IP, move to creative, where you have, YouTube creators and you have all these new forms of delivery. And so we are really excited about IAMT's positioning now in the market and how it's going to continue to evolve. And I think this is really a moment where we all are looking about what's happening with this change and this new evolution. And I'm thrilled that Saleha is sitting right beside me because she's done this, right? She did this in the business world with consulting in the space. And now we are lucky enough as an organization to have her, really help bring on this change.
That's perfect, and that leads me in because what everybody's going to be saying, and I'll start with you, Saleha, because you're the key person here. Is why IAMT and why now? We've mentioned shifts and we've talked about shifts in the industry, but IABM had strong brand recognition. It had a great legacy. So what really fundamentally drove this change? What changed in the industry that made it not just desirable but necessary?
So I'm going to be really controversial here and say, yes, we have had, as IBM, great legacy in the broadcast media or broadcast manufacturing back in the day when we first started. But I think that there's been a perception issue around IBM as an organization that we were only for the hardware manufacturers, when in fact we already have a whole ton of members. We have over 400 across the world who are already operating in the software, cloud, data, AI space in media and entertainment. So part of this rebrand was to elevate those members who are already innovating and operating in this space, but also to then really widen widen the market opportunity, because we've moved beyond broadcast, and it's looking at, it's a difficult time economically, geopolitically. There is a market out there for MediaTech vendors, and there is growth. The State of MediaTech report has showed us that MediaTech vendors are seeing up to 50% of their revenue is coming in from outside broadcast. So the key thing is we're not losing broadcast, we're building on it, and we're elevating our members and widening the market opportunity for those members across the entire media ecosystem.
Well, that's good. And I think what came out to me and what came out in this show and a lot of research I've been doing, both within our own organization, Neutral Wireless, but in some of the consultancy pieces I do in the industry, is trust and agility. And I think what was great, IABM had the trust.
Yeah.
And you brought the agility and the ability to be able to everything that your team and you are telling your members to do. You're walking the walk, not just talking the talk, if you see what I mean, because you've made trust and agility a key part of this brand. So it would be very good, and I think as you as a is the outgoing ex-chair, what problems do you think IAMT will be able to solve in maybe as a new organization and new agile, or that IABM didn't? Where do you see this?
So first of all, it's representing its members and having a footprint and making this industry visible. So I think that is one of the major points. And obviously, it's providing benefits to its members, like research. There's a lot of industry and business insight that you gain as a member. And there's a lot of networking opportunities. And that has become even more important than in the past, because the solutions our customers address, they have become more complex in a way. So it's a lot more interaction needed between the different vendors, and IAMT is actually a platform to enable that. But also the customer side has become a lot wider and a lot more complex, and to get access to that is something that IAMT is actually providing. And so in a way, this organization is reducing complexity on behalf of its members.
And that's perfect. And I tell you what, working in many verticals over my time, you don't get that from a trade or a trade association anywhere. That is just a badge. And I guess, Josh, you've seen that in Verizon's a huge company made up of many different areas. You've almost got internal competitors sometimes when you come into your role. So how does this help your function as part of Verizon?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really have to look at what's happening across the industry, right? And this fact that, we talked earlier about the kind of the creator economy and what's happening there. And it's all opportunity, right? It's all opportunity. You just have to understand what is the risk? What is the ability to then go figure out what is in the market today? And then, hey, how do you go open up these new markets? And there's no question that IAMT is a place where, I'll go for research, I'll go to better understand what's happening. Because, listen, as a large telco, large connectivity provider, not just in the US, but we've got 1 million miles around the world of fiber. Well, that fiber is being used for many different places in Europe, in Asia, all over. And I think, and I was talking to Andreas earlier, a great example of this is like the World Cup. Right? Verizon is the official telecommunication sponsor of the World Cup, but it's companies like Lawo who are actually the end of the cable, right? The other side of that connection. And I think it's so cool. And I think it's organizations like IAMT that help bring this together. It means that when we think about these workflows, and it's becoming ever more critical right now, especially with AI and all this stuff, to be able to discover who's on the other side of that connection. How are you delivering a seamless experience for the end customer, but obviously the consumer of those experiences?
And that's and it was just because we can hear everybody chatting in the hub, and if any of the members haven't been up here yet, N257, a great place. You look around, everybody's here, but they're doing work and they're meeting customers, but also each other. You see these conversations that are going on. I mean, and here, me and Josh needed to talk anyway, and we were here, and and it's great, and you meet new people. I think for me, and I'm going to go to each of you because this is the big question is, what does success look like? And I'd like to take it from different viewpoints. For you, as a company and a member, 12 to 24 months, how would you rate or view the success based on your requirements of a international association?
Being relevant, remaining relevant, that is key. And I think we will become, as an organization, become even more relevant. So in a quickly changing environment, there needs to be some consistency somewhere, some reference points. And IAMT will be proof to be that kind of a cornerstone that you can rely on.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm going to come to you last because I'd like you to have the final word as the leader of all this great change. But Josh, where do you see 12 to 24 months? And again, this is part of your tenure over the next as the current chair.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we already saw the great change with Saleha coming into the organization and bringing new breath and fresh air in. But really, you have to look at, what's happening with Avixa, what's happening with these kind of adjacencies to why this change is so important and opens up such a new opportunity for our members, for the industry. And so you look at, obviously we're here right now at NAB, which is a great show. But you know what? I think about IBC and kind of the changes that we're going to see there. And I look at, CES and the changes there. And there really is this phenomenal moment for us as an industry to say, hey, listen, you know what we actually have going on? We actually have a broader capability. We actually have more places where people are trying to communicate. And there's no doubt that, 5G, as you very well know, Matt, is a huge enabler of that. Verizon in particular is doing our part to enable that, across the board. But the point there is connectivity is no longer the issue. And so when connectivity is no longer the issue, all of a sudden you get these opportunities, you get these startups, you get these environments where, you can now create, deliver, produce, post-produce, these experiences. And there's no doubt, IAMT wants to help you connect, help you think about how all these pieces fit together. And really, Saleha, and she knows this, has a mandate from the board to go out and do this. Go out and make sure she understands that she and the organization are empowered to go and deliver on these new things for our members, but honestly, more importantly, for our industry.
And I'm going to come to you, finally, but I guess there's a different spin from me, because if I'd had to do what you did to a company, especially a not-for-profit, which is, so many different challenges and the way things are approached. If it was me, I'd have said, what does success look like? I would have said yesterday, that done, right? See you. And I know you're not that person. What do you see coming in 12 to 24 months? And this is really exciting for me because, I like to I feel I'm part of it.
You are part of it. I think for me, it's really simple. It is enabling our members to do more business. So that includes making them more visible, amplifying them, keeping them relevant, supporting them with intelligence, research, insights, training, and really enabling that connectivity, that networking, and putting members front and center to people who are buying their products and services. And even beyond that, I think it's also where they need to partner, where they want to look at investors or even buying startup companies. We have a huge focus on startups and looking at how we support new talent coming into the industry, new companies, as well as new people. So for me, success is all about our members' success. And for them, that means doing more business, making them more visible, and doing that in a way that is, as you say, trusted. And part of what we're doing with that is the launch of our new May, our agentic AI model. We are the first industry association to do this. People have been talking about it. We are doing it. Yeah. And we are making our members the answer to the industry's pain points, the questions, enabling that visibility, that relevancy, to really position members as well as connecting them into media buyers directly.
Well, and breaking down the silos, right?
And breaking down the silos, because it's an ecosystem that is, so much broader. And the way you go to market when you're trying to, the difference between Verizon's go to market and the end of the cable and everything in the middle, that needs, an ecosystem to work together. And we are all about the visibility of how we make the complex more simple, because we have the answers and we've got the companies who've done it. The FIFA World Cup, amazing events that Lawo have done, your own events that you're doing on the sports side. There's stuff in retail, there's stuff with the Royal Opera House, Milan Fashion Week, as well as the great broadcasters and media streaming companies that we continue to work with as well. So putting all of that together is just so exciting. And I think it's continuing to elevate the industry and our members to do more business in that industry.
I mean, you can hear the passion. I mean, let's be clear here.
And we all know we're all passionate, and I know that there's only limited time for everybody because we'll be here all afternoon talking. I just want to say thank you so much, Andreas, Saleha, and Josh. We're back again later on, and thank you for watching. I'm going to make a very quick exit because I realise we haven't paid our membership dues. So see you all later.